Good morning, everyone, to this session. Good morning, good late morning, good afternoon, because as you know, we are part of the LGN Global Connection, and today we are joining this session from everywhere in the world. So this is a worldwide event that is 24-hour event putting together all, let's say, lean practitioners from the lean LGN, Lean Global Network, from all over the world. So we have our speaker today are joining from Brazil, and that's early morning in there. So I would like to thank our speakers for being here. And I would like to introduce you, first of all, Fernando Rodriguez, who is the product technology manager at Technip FMC in Rio, in Brazil. And he has been one of the pioneers in introducing a journey for lean product and process development all over the company. So the big challenge, and today we will hear about the concept paper in the company. Together with Fernando, we have Jose Ferro. He is the founder of the Lean Institute in Brazil. So that's an honor for me to introduce him and Fernando as well. He has been working together with Fernando and with the Technip FMC team all over the last 10 years, starting with manufacturing projects, but also now involving in projects on product development and engineer together with Jim Morgan and the LEI LPPD team. So I wish to welcome them, and I'm glad to introduce you this session about lean product and process development and in the specific concept paper. I will ask before I give the stage to the speaker. Now I can see that the people are increasing, so welcome again everybody from all over the world. I would invite everyone to drop your questions in the chat. So please feel free to ask as many questions as possible in the chat. We wish to have a very active discussion at the end of the presentation. I will support addressing your questions to the speaker at the end of their presentation. So please don't be shy, and let's use this very important moment to discuss and advance our learning on the concept paper and new product development together with Jose and Fernando. Fernando, Jose, the stage is yours.
Buongiorno, Monica. Thank you very much for being the host. I know you had a very busy day yesterday, many LPPD sessions. I'm glad we have had the opportunity in this event to learn a lot about LPPD. We started this event, we kicked it off with a very nice presentation from Jim Morgan. I think some of you may have listened to Jim's presentation, and he introduced how important LPPD to build the future of the company, and how those concepts and practice are fundamental to drive the company into this new era where disruption and innovation are critical parts of our business life. So today I'm really excited to be able to join Fernando Rodriguez in this presentation about the concept paper. What is so special about a paper? Actually, the concept paper is a paper. Maybe it's an electronic version of a paper, but it can be a word paper. What is so special about that? What is unique? Why we have the session about writing a paper, a word document? What is it about? What is the secret sauce of this topic? So first of all, I will present some of the main elements of the process of writing a concept paper and its benefits. And then Fernando will bring some real interesting experience, which I think is the most relevant part of today's session, is about how you apply it to an organization and what it brings. What are the benefits of this? So Fernando will be managing the presentation. Please, Fernando. So typically, this is a development timeline. If you go to Jim Morgan's book, the Design the Future book, you're going to see this. And it's basically composed of two parts, the LPPD approach is a very important study phase where you front load, you make an effort early on before you actually start the execution. So before you start the execution, you need the concept paper. The study phase is this initial phase of a product development project to really understand what you need to work on. And this is as important as the execution phase. So I'm gonna lead you through the process of developing a concept paper. It The study phase basically is composed of two pieces. One is this a deep immersion, a deep understanding of customer needs and customer wishes, and then some data collection. We need to develop a lot of data, and that's going to be embodied in the concept paper. So the concept paper is going to have a lot of information based on a lot of studies, a lot of learning before you actually start developing a new product. The purpose of the concept paper is to create some alignment throughout the whole company. And I mean the whole company, I mean the whole company. It's not only an engineering thing, but it's a company-wide activity. It helps to guide the selection of concepts, as we're going to be talking about that. What does that mean? Because we don't know yet specifically what we're going to be developing. It officializes product objectives, and it's a prerequisite to start the project. So without the concept paper, you don't start a new product development project. So the process starts with the corporate strategy, defining, the new product needs, and then what happens is you the company defines a project leader. Some companies call the chief engineer. Technip FMC calls the CPD, the chief product developer, and then the project leader, along with the sponsor, they select a small team of people with the key knowledge areas, and then they will start the study phase. This is basically a small team activity with a clear leadership. And then after the study phase, you write the concept paper, you sign it, and then you kick off. You kick off. That means you start the new product development project. Um, and basically this has to be aligned with the company true north, the company priorities, the company strategy. It has to be clearly aligned with that. So if we start with the corporate strategy, we assume that the company would define what markets, what products, and what are the business needs. So those questions are going to be driving our effort to define what is needed, what is the new product need. The the leader of the project, the team leader or the chief engineer, will take responsibility to conduct this study phase. And it's a learning journey for him. It's a learning journey for the company. Many unknowns, many things that are not clear yet. So this person will be driving this effort, and it's going to be learning a lot about the customer, about the technologies, about the products, about the company. Many parts of the company he or she will have to learn. And this is going to be fundamental because in the execution phase, he or she will have to lead without authority, and without this knowledge base, it will be very hard for him to be able to deliver this new product. This small team is composed with the key knowledge areas, because remember, this is all about creating new knowledge. So we have to understand what are the key knowledge areas. Some of them are internal to the company, some might be outside, and then make sure that the chief engineer or the team leader, the project leader, will have to make sure that those people work together. And sometimes that's not easy. Sometimes that's more in a company that's more easy to do. So this small team now will enter this study phase. This is the study phase activities. It's basically to define what customers want and need. This is the basic purpose of the study phase and the concept paper. And it needs a deep immersion. And by deep immersion, what I mean, you can look at the ocean from way above, and you're going to see some blue stuff there. And then if you go a little closer, you're going to see a lot of new details when you watch an ocean. But then, if you really want to see what's happening underneath there, all the details, you need to go a little deeper. So this study phase is a deep immersion. You have to go deep. You have to drive your knowledge journey into the unknowns, and you have to get as close as possible to many details that otherwise you wouldn't be able to notice. So the direct observation, meaning going to the Gemba, going to where the customers are or the future customers are, or checking what the prod or what the competitors' products are. So you can do interviews. You can collect data. This is all known, but this is driven directly by the team and the chief engineer. And then you evaluate existing concepts and products, and then you define, how you're going to define value. What is the criteria for value? In this process, we recommend to create an obeya, because you're gonna want to have this knowledge, this new knowledge creation, as transparent as possible. So you can use an obeya that's going to be used for daily meetings and for critical events. So we have everybody knows what's happening, where we're learning, what our findings, and what we need to do next. Okay, so then the study phase will result in the preparation and in the end, the execution of this document. The concept paper is a document. What this document contains, what is the content of the document? We suggest basically four parts, okay? First of all is the vision, then the features, targets, and then management of the project, timeline, and milestones. What do we mean by the vision? It could be just a statement, just a simple statement about what the vision of the new product is about. Or you can draw something, an image, a sketch of the new product, the vision of this new project. And then we can go on. The concept paper should be able to define some of the features of the new product. How many versions? Uh, how many models? The options, platforms, families. And then with those decisions, you have to define clearly uh, what feature the new product must have, and also what is those features that are nice to have, and then the features that you must not touch, that you can bring for an existing product, an existing model, an existing platform. In this element of the concept paper, you should also be able to define what you're going to be reusing, what knowledge you're going to reuse, and then what is the list of is not in the features. What features mean, what they represent for the product vision. And then you define the targets and the ranges for the product. And they have to be specific. For example, a chart like this, where some of the main features are defined, and then you compare this with the new product that you are going to develop, that you wish to develop, compare with the current product, and you can compare that with the competition. And then finally, in the concept paper content, you should define some of the elements of the development project, like the timelines, like the people are going to be involved, the key knowledge areas, the roles and responsibilities of those people throughout the project, throughout the next phase, the execution phase of the project. And remember, writing a concept paper and the concept paper is a learning process. So you might adjust because you're learning things, but be careful with the alignment, making sure that in this process of adjusting, guarantee the alignment is fundamental for the success of the execution phase. So what we have here is after you finish the study phase, you write the concept paper, and then you kick off. You communicate the new learning to the company, and you can use an A3 for that to summarize. You want to share this learning and this challenge of developing this new product in this new phase, and you want to communicate it broadly. You can have meetings to engage everybody, because remember, developing a new product is a corporate thing. It's we need everybody on board with this new idea. Okay, so this is basically the main elements of a concept paper. And now I'm going to ask Fernando to bring the Technip FMC experience. And before Fernando starts talking, this is the potential of writing concept papers and using LPPD for product development projects. This is just one example of the exciting work that Technip FMC has been doing over the years. And this is just an example of a conventional subsea manifold. Is one of those big things that go in the seabed. And on the left, you see the conventional subsea manifold. And on your right, you're going to see, and this is, and the pictures are real. This is a real. And basically, what you have there, you have a new product with the same functionality, but with half of the size and half of the weight. So this is the potential of using LPPD and using this very fundamental process, which is writing a concept paper based on a very deep, detailed study phase throughout to our development projects. So now I ask Fernando to continue sharing the Technip FMC experience. Please, Fernando.
All right. Okay. Good morning. Good morning, Ferro. Good morning, Monica. Good morning, everyone. First of all, it's an honor to be here together with you, Ferro. It's a long journey that we're passing through, and it's also an honor to share our experience with Technip FMC. So basically, just to give you guys a brief background. So what is Technip FMC? What are we talking about here? Technip FMC, it's a technology company. So, and it's situated in the energy sector. So we basically have three main areas on focus, which is subsea. So for oil and gas, and also the new energy that's coming along, the surface, and also we have a fleet for oil and gas installations and transportation. So we basically are technology company, and what we try to do is to enhance our clients' performance with new technology or enabling new technology or new solution for clients, right? And the Technip FMC experience, we can, put in a timeline, we can split it or divide it in half here. And we have actually two phases. So we have something before the LPPD and the concept paper, and after. So I'm putting together LPPD and concept paper because they are all part of the same methodology, of the same philosophy. So for us, concept paper is embedded on the LPPD. So it's hard to talk about concept paper without talking the LPPD journey. So basically, before I'm going to highlight you guys our previous development process. So how we used to do a new product, and then we are going to talk about the pilot phase for, you know, trying new development with the LPPD, the expansion phase, what Ferro just mentioned prior, and the obstacles that we have so far. So let's go on the highlights from the previous development process. So how does it normally or used to work? Is that we normally receive a new project in company. It's normally coming from requirements from client. So this is the majority of projects inside Technip FMC. And we basically have one question. So do we have a solution that works for this new requirement? If the answer was yes, okay, we can use it, use this product. If no, why not requalifying existing products? So avoid, trying making something completely new from existing alternatives. So, and the thing is that this requalifying existing, it brings a low creativity environment. Actually, we don't have much solution when we are just doing the same stuff. It is very good when we have only one product that fits for every single requirement. That will be the nirvana. But actually, that's not the case. We are always requalifying, and we try it a lot to keep away from this low creativity environment. So we used to have a lot of brainstorming prior to start projects, and with all those statements, every idea is a good idea. So, and what normally happens is that all those ideas, they come along, and in the beginning of the project, and when we compare with the existing product, so we didn't have a methodology. So what should we do with those new ideas? So, and actually they were deselected or removed from the project, and we were, insisting with the existing product until having it finished on the project execution. And what we traditionally do, as we are requalifying, we just retesting, make it work, and fix things, and retesting. So we generally have these cycles. And one thing that happened on those cycles is that we came with late development, so, and late delivery to client, which is a huge problem, and we wanted to avoid this as much as possible. So the highlights here is that the environment from previous LPPD is a point-based design, so just grabbing existing designs and try it again. A technology decision process. See that the product that we wanted to use is mainly defined by the engineering team or the technological group or department. Firefighting mode, because we had to make it work while we are in a project execution. Late delivery, so part of the output of this firefighting mode, and also design for project. So what I mean by that is that we traditionally have a qualification. So we have just to give an example here, just came a requirement from client requesting a Christmas tree, which is a equipment that controls the oil production from the reservoir, and it's 2,000-meter water depth. Okay, we qualified the equipment for that. And then 2 months later, we have another requirement or another request from a different client that wants a 2,500 meters. So normally what we do, so we qualify for 2,500 meters. So we were always designing for project instead of designing for failure, which we can see the truly capacity of the product. So those are the highlights, and then we started the pilot phase. So now using the LPPD and the concept paper as well. We had three main aspects here to discuss prior to start the concept paper. So first one, as Ferro already mentioned, so small group. Just avoid starting a project, with those kickoff with, I don't know, 100 people inside the room, and avoid that. Make it a small team, a small group. This is where, and the key knowledge people or the leaders from the key knowledge areas. And why is that? It's because we can learn fast. We can fail early and we can learn fast. The other aspect is that, okay, project is different than product. So if we are developing new product in a project environment, it's completely different in a product environment. And what I mean by that is that on a project environment, all the requirements are fixed. So we don't have to worry about concept paper. For instance, if we have some parameters that influence our design, for example, we have a Christmas tree there in the seafloor. So parameters that are very important for our kind of design is the water depth, be 100 to 3,000 meters. Deformation pressure. So what will be the deformation pressure? So the installation vessel capacity as well. It's very important to understand what the client has as a capacity. And what kind of Christmas tree? It is a production tree or it is an injection tree that we are going to inject gas and water in the well. So those kind of things and tons of other parameters, they influence a lot the design, but they are all fixed when we receive the requirement from client. I mean, this is very good. In the other hand, when we are looking for product, so we didn't know how to start it. So how to define what is fixed and what is flexible. I mean, we are not doing a project specific anymore. We are doing a product that will have to fit in all the other projects along the market. So how to do that? So the third aspect is something that Jim Morgan, he presented yesterday. It was a brilliant presentation, by the way, talking about the LPPD and the set-based concurrent engineering. So this is a good philosophy about product design. Instead of going in a point base or selecting the product in the beginning of the project, why not, trying a bunch of different concepts divided on sets and then go deselecting them until you actually find the solution you needed. So this is a brilliant methodology to design product. But as I stated on the second aspect, so what is this product? So what do we want in the end of this development? So what is the vision? So we have to have the vision first. Otherwise, how to decide? How can we decide which concept is the right one if we don't know what is the product? I mean, those are the questions that we didn't know how to answer until we started with this concept paper. So concept paper, it helped us a lot on this. It was fundamental on that. Actually, the concept paper, we internally we call it a contract of agreement. It's because it's not about engineering deciding anymore, exclusive. So it's the whole company. It's an entrepreneur activity at this point. And what I mean by that, I mean market needs. So on the concept paper, we need to have the market needs. So we probably need the commercial, the market department to help and influence on that. Create consensus with stakeholders. I mean, talking with the guys from manufacturing, from supply chain, So organized, so everyone has a voice here and has something to comment and something to agree. Promote knowledge creation. I mean, this is easy to see now that we have a bunch of different ideas. We can promote the creativity of the company. And one of the most important things is focus the team only in what is valued. So what I mean by that is that, invest energy on what we see as a value for client, instead of doing things that we don't know if it's going to work or not, and make them visible. So, I mean, Ferro mentioned something that was very that fits perfectly on Technip FMC, which is the must have, nice to have, and must not touch features. So we had all the products, we have all these lists, make it visible for everyone. So those brainstormings, there is not more every idea is a good idea. So now the idea has to fit in the vision. So right after that, after having all this consensus on this contract of agreement, we are able to have the fixed and flexible defined. So now we have a vision and features of this product. So we know what product we want to sell, at least the functionalities we wanted to have, so the problems that will help the operators or our clients. And we can also transform the values into parameters that we can measure. So those could be the target, and those were the targets. So once we have the targets defined, we are now able to decide which concept do we want to use, or do we want to continue selecting through the execution of the project. So basically, concept paper support and make a structure to create a set-based environment. So just a quick comparison here, what we have before and after with both LPPD and concept paper. So we came from a point-based design to a set-based design, a technical decision process or technology-only decision process, to an entrepreneur decision process. Now that the whole company decide together, and there is nothing more I told you so. So in the technology only decision process, so the engineer team decides something, and the rest of the company in the first problem, I told you so, and this doesn't happen anymore because everyone is signing off the concept paper in the beginning. We are coming away from the firefighting mode. For sure, we still have a lot of firefighting mode. But now we have more focus on value. We know since the beginning of the concept paper, we know what's value for client. We came from the late delivery, so the nightmare of delivering something late for client. We are creating product development roadmap. So we are detaching the product development from the project execution. And design for project for design for failure. So we, on a design for project, you actually don't know the real capacity of your product, of your components, and you just qualify for this existing scenario. And when we have the designing for failure, we are able to truly understand our products and truly understand the limits of our equipment as well. So this is very good because you have more information in a design for failure about your capacity, and you can compare with demand from the market. So this is something also very, very good learnings that we have. So after we having this concept paper, at least first revision defined, we are able to expand this to more people. So, and what we mean by that is, remember that the CPD, like Ferro mentioned, the Chief Product Developer. So he created a concept paper with the help of all the other stakeholders or the knowledge area leaders. And as soon as the first revision is released, all the other leaders, they started to create their own A3. Okay, and now they all of them they have a specific problem. So the problem of that guy from material department is different from the design, which is different from the manufacturing department. So they have specific targets for specific problems, and the concept paper pull all those A3s. And those leaders, they translate all the global values that we put in a concept paper in parameters that we can measure in the specific areas. For instance, if we have a global value which is a lighter equipment, so our equipment has to be lighter compared to the previous version and compared to any other competitors. So how is the translation of this, for example, for material department? So the translation should be some trade-off curves regarding the materials that we have. For example, we have material A, material B, and so engineering wise, as we increase the yield strength of the material, we can reduce the wall thickness. Reducing the wall thickness of our vessels, we can reduce the weight. So we need to find a new material that could work, for example, in an environment of 120 degrees Celsius. So that will be the translation between a global value in a concept paper to a knowledge specific area. And now that we have a lot of people together, so it's not more a small group, now it's a big group with a lot of information. And for sure, you will get drowned by so many information that's coming at the same time. We use the Obeya, so we actually use those tips from Ferro, and we use the Obeya rooms as a daily management for all those knowledge creation. So we have a whole room with all those A3s, stick it in the wall with all the results we have so far, and managing on a micro and a macro timeline. So in a way that we can transform work in information or value for company. And by the end, I would like to share the obstacles. I mean, we had a lot of obstacles. We're still facing a lot of obstacles, but it's worth mentioning at least three of them. The first one is to develop CPD's capabilities and knowledge. So what I mean by that is that, so in a traditional value stream map in a company, at least for Technip FMC, we have a tender award from client, and this is translated in a first process, a second process, in any process until we deliver this to client. And generally, company works on silos. So the leaders that from the first process, so they can understand a little bit from the second one or the third one, but they don't see the whole value stream. And what we want as a CPD, as a chief product developer or leader, is the guy that has a whole vision. So we wanted to give the responsibility to create the profitable value stream for the company. So it has to be an entrepreneur person, and not more just one single area leader. And the thing is that we don't have this. So we are in a silo company that's moving into a CPD environment. The other thing, so shallow study phase that leads us to constant revision and change and late definition. So Ferro mentioned about the deep immersion. So, and what happened to us is that we made shallow study. And what happened when we do shallow study, and especially for external values, so what customer really want and need, if we if we have an initial direction that is not the correct one, what happens is that we start to deviate it from this direction because actually it wasn't the correct one. So we waste some energy trying to figure out what was the real vision or the real necessity from client. So this is normally happen in a shallow study. So if you don't want to waste too many energy on that, on those deviation, it's pretty important to make a deep immersion on the study phase. And the last one is persisting the lack of alignment among stakeholders. Remember that now it's a contract of agreement, although we still are suffering a lot with that because probably it's a new culture in company. This is mainly regards on the internal values. So what is the future vision of the value stream map? Or for instance, if we have a global values on a concept paper that reducing cost, reducing lead time. So what will be the future vision? So what do we want or what do we need to reduce as a lead time or target costs or any other stuff that strategy from supply chain, what's make or buy strategies, manufacturing level. So those discussions, it could be also shallow study as well. And this is something that it's really important to debate during the concept paper definition. So in summary, what we have here, what concept paper helped us basically is one, to develop CPD skills and knowledge. As I mentioned, we don't have this person yet. We are developing people for this role. And concept paper, I think, is the best tool for that. Align the organization and prioritize development. Okay, now we are more organized. We are all embedded about on all the developments, and we can prioritize developments. I mean, we have limited resource. Every company has limitation on resource, so we know how to select which project should be prioritized. It's also it's a tool that it's generate an innovative knowledge creation company. I mean, it's bring back the creativity from the engineering and all the company as well. And this is all based on the market needs. So this is very important. It's not a matter of being creative. It's a matter of being creative on a value that we think it's value for client. So what we are talking here mainly is set base. So using more set base in our developments and using the concept paper to visualize, make it visible, the market needs and client values. And at last, so it helped as Ferro showed it the manifold before, and now I'm showing the Christmas tree here. So it helped us to develop outstanding new products. So it possible it won't be a wow for you guys, but for us, that's from the subsea market, it's a very wow here. So those are 3 generations of Christmas tree. So the first one, it's one of the biggest selling product from our portfolio. In the middle one was the best development we had so far for Christmas tree. And we thought that was the best in class. But until we decided to move on the LPPD and we were able to perform the Subsea 2.0 program. And the output of this was the manifold, Ferro showed it, and now the Christmas tree. See that it's going on the global values we wanted for client. So keep the same functionality with lower cost, lower weight, lower envelopes. So basically, this is a wow for us. All right, guys. That's the experience I would like to share with you today. Thank you a lot. Thank you, Ferro. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you. Thank you, Fernando and Jose. Guys, we have questions in the chat. I will address the question to you guys, Fernando and Jose. So the first question is, would you use a concept paper also in different contexts, for example, to develop softwares and services? Or only in traditional manufacturing products? And would you use it also for, let's say, smaller project, just modification of existing product that require only few days to be developed?
Fernando, do you want to answer that? How you're using that the concept paper in different projects within the company?
Yeah, we basically use the concept paper as a new product development. So it could be the business case that we have is the paper that we go through all the sponsors, through all the stakeholders, and everything that you think it's a new development, and you probably think that you need the help or support or budget from sponsors, you can use the concept paper as a tool. I mean, it's not a very uh, specific tool for equipment, but could be also for servers, for any other new thing that you're planning to do.
Yeah, I agree with that idea in general. It can be used because we have two notions of a concept paper. One is a more superficial understanding. Well, it's just a paper instead of a pile of PowerPoints. Many companies have some process similar to that, uh, but it's just a pile of slides. And this paper, it's easier to read, it's easier to go through. But that you can do that for anything. You can use that in your, let's say, lean transformation effort, for example. Anything that you don't know exactly what you're going to be doing. But what I think Fernando mentioned is the context and the process. So it's not only about, instead of using PowerPoint, you use Word. It's not only about that. It's the context and the process of doing it. What comes during that process? What comes after? What is the connection between the study phase and the execution phase? So yes, you can use it anywhere, anytime, but be careful. The trick is like the A3. The trick of the A3 is not the size of the paper. So the trick of the concept paper, oh, I'm going to use Word instead of a PowerPoint. No, this is not the trick. Is the content, the concept, the idea, the understanding, and the connection with the other LPPD tools as well.
Thank you very much. I would go to the second question that is very linked to this one. And also, is this suitable only for large companies or also for small, medium enterprises?
Fernando?
Well, I would say that for any size of company, just like what Ferro is comment, the concept paper is not for huge or, like we were saying, wow projects, which could, direct to a big product. Actually, the concept paper is a 5, 6, probably 10 page of information. It's a tool that helps you to tell a story to the rest of the company. So what is the background? So why we think we have a good market place where we can feed a new product. So it's a document that helps you to tell a story to the rest of your stakeholders and sponsors. So it should be used for any size of companies. It doesn't matter size.
Yeah, even for a big, large multinational like Technip FMC, you have big projects and you have small projects. So it's the same. Of course, a smaller project, you're going to dedicate less people for less time, basically, depending
Thank
on the
you.
complexity of the project. and the product you want to develop.
Sure, thank you. We have other questions. Fernando, in the team's perception, what was the concept paper's great contributions and what is the next step in the evolution of the concept paper?
I would say that is the alignment. So, in our experience, we normally have one department taking decision about what the product we are going to sell to the market, and now we have an entrepreneur program that state what we are going to sell to the market. So this alignment is very good because I was comment that we normally have the "I told you so" comments. Basically, they are made by departments that they wasn't aware or wasn't there in the decision process. And then now that you bring those guys and give them the responsibility to decide, so we are all on this program together. So basically this help to connect more people to create those multidisciplinary groups. So this is all basically because we are all signing the same document, we have the same compromise. And the evolution for that, I mean, we are far from the perfection. We still need to involve more people, more stakeholders, and go deep on the discussion. So now that we join people together, we not only just join, but make the deep immersions on the discussions instead of shallow discussion of shallow parameters.
Thank you. Another question. In general, are the cost of prototyping during the set-based concurrent engineering considered as R&D investment or they are included in the cost of the project under development?
Well, that's a very good question. Uh, we are still debating. It's a huge debate where we should put on the the prototype cost, but generally I would say it's part of the development. Uh, the good thing on concept paper, we can make it visible to the rest of the company and make it predictable what we are going to use as a resource and the output of this, so the quantity of prototypes. So without the concept paper, the executive team, they don't have a good vision about what we are going to really expand. And I would say that it tends to stay on the development process.
Yeah, I don't have any data on that, but I think that's many companies, they don't do the math, and they think it's too much. So they go to point based, and the rest we know the story. Well, when we do the concept paper, we define a vision. So all those prototypes that we're going to develop are around this vision, are around this notion. So we have some idea of what to do. So we're not just developing prototypes that are useless. And then I think there's another dimension of the current Technip FMC vision, strategic vision, which is reusable knowledge as a fundamental part of the engineering strategy. So if we develop something that might not be used now for some reason, maybe later it will be used because it's within the ranges, within the vision that we develop. So depending on how you measure our a prototype that you're not going to use in the future is a waste of money. In this context, probably no, because it's going to be reused and it's aligned with the vision for the new product. We see a lot of prototypes that are useless. Um, um, but anyway, you can say, well, I'm learning. I'm not. I don't buy that. But what I really think is not a waste of money, because you're going to reuse that knowledge. And this development is aligned with the product vision. Without doing the math, I think it's a great investment because your investment in a knowledge that's going to be used, if not now, probably later.
Thank you, Jose. And is there a document describing the concept paper process or template? I could also answer this, but I leave it to you.
Yeah, well, you go to Planet Lean, and we have one article that I wrote a few years ago. I would say a few years ago, and there is another paper that I work with the Technip FMC guys about their initial learnings about concept paper. What Fernando presented is their current thinking about the concept paper. If you go there, you're going to see the previous learning when in the Fernando evolution timeline, that was after the prototypes, that was early stages of the expansion. So there are two papers in Planet Lean that Madhu, you can take a look at them. Yes, Monica, thank you very much. That's one of them, and there's another one on the Technip FMC story. But remember, the Technip FMC story in that described in that paper, that was exactly when the concept paper was taking off, was just begin to spread. What Fernando mentioned is a more mature, learning. The learning they took from this past 2 or 3 years, where concept paper is part of the process. So there is no new product development without a concept paper. There's no new investment in new products without a document that has been read and signed by the stakeholders, by the team, and so on. So now it's part of the standard process. You cannot develop anything within the company without the concept paper. When we wrote that paper, that was still early days when that was beginning to evolve. But anyway, it's still useful for you to take a look.
Thank you. And then we have a last question, I think. Your use of the concept paper sounds powerful. How many of your colleagues understand the concept of the concept paper?
I mean, that's a very deep question. And I would say that probably few of us are truly understanding the powerful. I would say that myself here, I'm still learning. You know, sometimes we get wow here and by what we are able to do together when we are writing a concept paper with a lot of hands together. So I would say that a few people, it's not many. The leaders, we are trying to use as more often as possible. Today in the company, when we are developing a new product, every CPD start with a concept paper. It's starting to become more natural, but yeah, I would say that the rest of the company, all the others leaders, especially from other departments, they're still learning and understanding on that.
Thank you very much, Fernando. Um, we also have comments. We have the audience thanking you guys for the presentation and also pointing out that this is a very important topic for companies looking to develop their product in a lean way from the beginning. So do we have other questions? Otherwise, I think we can move to the next presentation in other sessions. We thank you very much for the presentation, Fernando and Jose, very interesting. I dropped the link of the paper that Jose was mentioning, and of course you can get in touch with Jose and Fernando for further discussion. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you. Thank you for joining this session. Congratulations.
Grazie, grazie.
Grazie.
Obrigada.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ferro.
Bye-bye. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye, John. Still awake.